Max. I want to introduce a show to you. It's called Chatroom with Max.
Ladies and gentlemen,
pay attention whenever
don't stop.
The primary sign, usually on an adult in a domestic violence situation, are bruises.
God gave him a talent. And the Bible says your gift will make a way for
When we sit there and we blame God for the things that are happening in our lives, no, God never told me to lay down with that man.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Chatroom with Max. Yeah, I said back because it's been a while since Chatroom with Max happened. It's nice to see you again. Today, we're going to be talking about something very, very serious and very, very important that has actually skyrocketed in this present days, and we want to be shedding lights on them. And to do justice with this will be three major main family of Chatroom. We're going to be having, as I said earlier, Dr. Tolu, who would be joining us soon. We are going to be having the professor. I love professor. We're going to be having my favorite banter partner, Sam Soft. So without much ado, where's the audience? Audience, are you ready to welcome my favorite banter partner? Anyway, give it up for my favorite banter partner, Sam Soft.
see the crowd.
I know the crowd. The crowd. No one stopped to clap. Welcome.
Thank you.
You don't teach, man.
Oh, man, not you.
Yeah.
Looking forward to today, man. How have you been,
man? How have you been?
I've been good. I've been chilling.
Yeah.
It's been a minute now, and this topic is a good topic that we need to address. I'm looking forward to us really having a good time. So, are you enjoying your new studio?
Well, the studio, as you can see, looks perfect.
It's looking really good. It's really good.
Born again,
It's born in saved. The background is fire.
Oh yes. So we have we have a professor, and we're going to be bringing Professor on right now, so we can just kickstart the show and get it off because we do not want to take too much time today. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome the one, the only Professor Christian.
Thank you all. My pleasure to be here once again, and I believe it's going to be a great and fulfilling time.
Yeah. Welcome, Prof. Welcome to the show. It's nice having you again. It's been a while. I know people have been like, where's Professor? Where's Professor? I want to hear from Professor. So now we have you on. Welcome, and thank you for accepting our invitation. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, today's topic is one that, anyway, we'll talk about it, because we have to be really honest about the topic, and it's really tough to talk about things like this, because it's something that is affecting people and affecting lives in general. So let's bring up the topic. Technician, okay, good. So the topic for today's conversation is domestic violence. Is that relationship worth it? Domestic violence, is that relationship worth it? So, before we begin, let's first of all get an understanding on what domestic violence is. And then we'll go into it. Prof. Sir, do you want to do us the honor?
Okay, let me just try to give it in a very simple fifth grader definition. Domestic violence will be defined as any form of abuse that is perpetrated against a partner. It could be a partner who is a marital, dating, or cohabitating relationship. So it is any form of, emotional, sexual, verbal, physical, or even deathly abuse that somebody perpetuates or inflicts on another person. So that would be what I would call this is a fifth grader definition of domestic violence. In the literature, they also use the word IPV, which is intimate partner violence. And we also have what is called dating violence. So what you see there is that, it is domestic violence is captured within the context of a relationship. So it is assumed that people are in a relationship, but that relationship, instead of being a pleasant one, has become an abusive one. So let me just leave it at that as a simple definition.
Wow, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Please let us know wherever you're tuning in from, wherever you're watching us from, and we'll definitely shout you out because hey, you're very important to us. Hi, Adi being paid. That's my cousin. Hi.
Wow.
Welcome to the show. She's watching all the
From
way from
Norway.
Norway. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So, Sam Soft, sir, you want to talk to us about what domestic violence is?
I'm going to make it very simple. Domestic violence is the act of abuse within a family. The act of abuse and uh, that's the word. Within the family, the body of family, like within a man or woman, a relationship, um, or even within the children, because domestic violence has to do with the family. Because if you're abusive to a wife or you're abusive to your husband, it affects the children. So that's why I come with that definition that domestic violence is an abuse within a family.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Nice. Nice. Thank you very much. So, gentlemen, let me give you guys a background story first of all of what actually prompted this.
Minister Meg, sorry for cutting you short. Can you bring your volume up a little more?
Okay, hold on. All right. How do I sound now?
So better.
All right. Perfect. Technician, don't be doing this kind of thing again. On live TV. What's your problem? I'll fire you.
Exactly.
They'll come and say I'm doing domestic violence now on you. Okay, so don't mind the technician. It's just annoying. So, okay, as I was saying, right? What prompted this today's conversation is something that happened, and this is a story that happened from Nigeria, and a lot of people were trying to pick a side, but I believe it's more complicated than that. We're going to dive deep into it just after I finish welcoming everybody in the comment section that is joining in. Welcome very much, Frederick Jonathan. He said hello from the hood. Hello, welcome, bro. Thank you very much. He said he's from Dorchester. Yes, thank you, Freddie. Sky One Media is in the house, people. Sky One Media says, hello, Minister Max, and all the beautiful hosts. Thank you very much. And Sky One Media say, this is Lily Gold from Boston. Hi. Who is Lily Gold? Sam Soft.
Yep.
Would that be Lillian?
Oh,
That's Lillian.
now Lillian, no.
Lillian, if that's you, please type yes. Why are you changing your name like that if that's you? You have changed so many names.
Lillian, are you just changing on us?
We'll come back. Welcome me. Don't mind Lillian. Uzovik is in the house.
Uzovik. Where you?
Uzovik, been a while.
It's
Welcome
been a while. It's
the
good to
show.
see
Hello,
all
my people. Good to see you guys again after a long while. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Sky One Media is the one and the only Coach Lillian. Everybody. wait, this technician. I've warned you before. Don't make me take over this work. Sky One Media is the one.
You touch my tra-la-la.
Why you can't stop the music now? They dance. You are in Tara.
We need to fire this. We need to fire this technician. I'm telling you, this technician.
Technician need to be fired.
Miss Lillian, Coach Lillian, our wonderful sister. Welcome to the show. We have something prepared for you. I will call you. That one is, you know now. So, yes, the story that I'm actually that brought this up is anyway. Lillian says I salute you all. Oh. Thank you. So the story that
we
brought
are
this up
hearing
or that prompted this is a story that happened in Nigeria, where a man and a woman who were dating for a long time and then got married and had children, and eventually the wife ended her life by attempting to burn herself and the husband in the house. Very sad. A lot of people are saying one thing or the other, but we just want to base it on domestic violence. So what do we think? What do we think is the cause of, some of the causes rather, of domestic violence in a marriage or a relationship? What do we think are some of the causes? Who wants to take the first stab?
the causes. There are so many causes. Like one of the causes I would say is lack of uh, communication first,
Okay.
and also um, when you are starting a relationship, you have to understand the partner you are going to, you're going in the kind of relationship you're going into. So, because that's why, like I say, prevention is better than cure. Before you go into a relationship, you should be able to understand each other's language and understand each other's, um, uh, what will I call it, uh, background.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the two of you are always arguing in the beginning of the relationship, and you notice all those signs, it is better for you guys not to continue. Don't be sentimental when it comes to that, because sometimes some abusive man or abusive, some men or women that become abusive were not abusive before. They don't have that character in them before. But when they go into a relationship that is toxic, they become aggressive. Because sometimes you realize that there are some people that were not really aggressive, but because the two people, they are not well connected, it's a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
As a result of that, that abusive uh, character now flare up out of the two of them, because they were not really like meant to be together.
Okay. 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 Wow. Thank you very much. That's really nice. That's really nice. Before we jump to Prof, I would want to indulge you guys, please and please. I want to crave your indulgence, just like we always do it. Please and please. I want you guys to go like where you're watching this from right now. Subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification tab so you know when we're coming on. And lastly, share. Listen, if you are on your phone right now, go to that link, share the link to at least 2 people. I'm not asking you for 2 people, bring 2 people. Just share it to 2 people, okay? Just 2 people, okay? Thank you very much for that. So, before we go over to Professor, I wanna introduce the one, the only. You're ready now. Technician, you're ready. Okay. Okay. I want to introduce to you the one, the only, Dr. Why you bring it? Tolu, everybody. Can you guys play with you? Can you guys play with you? Okay.
Wow.
Doctor.
Dr. T.
Hey
Dr. T.
everyone, how are
The
you?
one and only
Fresh
doctor
like
that we know.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Doctor. Welcome.
I like your hairgear. It's born again.
Doctor is always wearing bodybuilding headgear, some soft.
Lord.
Yeah.
She knows
Always
how
looking
to.
good.
She knows how to organize herself.
I know. I know. Yeah.
It's good to see you. It's been a while, doctor.
Yeah. It's been a while.
A Yoruba proverb comes to mind, but I shall not quote it at this point.
Thank you very much. When Doctor is telling us her definition of domestic violence, she'll bring in the proverb.
Now, doctor, earlier today, myself and Mr. Megs, we were gossiping about you.
You, excuse me, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. I was not gossiping. I do not gossip.
But in a good way though.
Sam Soft. Sam Soft, you have started. Where's Sam Soft? Sam Soft, don't try it.
No, he's
Be
over
warned.
there.
Is it this one here or that one?
Okay.
Okay,
Be
this
warned.
one.
Okay. So let's carry on. Professor sir, why do you think domestic abuse, domestic violence is prevalent today? Why do you think it's on the increase rather than being? I thought enlightenment would reduce things, but yet it seems to be on the high side. Why?
Well, thank you. I mean, as Dr. Tolia, welcome again.
Thank you, sir. Good night to see you again.
You too. So, in answering that question, I think we have to contextualize the answers. And good enough, my brother Sam Soft has given us the assumption on which we're looking at this topic, which is basically within the family. So, we're contextualizing it within the family. There are many risk factors that predisposes a couple to experiencing domestic violence. I mean, the literature is, abundant across the different factors that people should basically look out for. I'll quickly just run through some of those factors. Some of them are basically demographic risk factors. So under demographic, you have things like age, you have things like gender, you have things like even socioeconomic status of the couple. Then you have things like race and ethnicity, and in our own case, we'll call it, tribe or tribal situation. And then we could also look at things like stress, which I think is on the increase. And then we can also go to some other factors like neighborhood and the community. We can also look at like things like even exposure to domestic violence while people were growing up. So that is what some people will look at it in terms of developmental factors. Now we've looked at social demographic factors, but developmental, for instance, if a child saw the dad hit the mom when he was growing up, and that was never resolved, because it's possible for parents to resolve, their fight or their abuse, but was anything done to erase that picture in that child? If that is not done, you've already set up that child, be it a girl or a boy, to actually exercise or perpetuate domestic violence in the future. Then we have other factors like experience of child abuse. So some people want to basically, if for instance a child was abused while growing up, we may find the opposite sex, as a punching bag to let out frustrations when he or she was growing up. Parenting factors are also there, and then we can also look at things with what they call peer association and influence. So peer association and influence would be exposures that people have to people who perpetuate domestic violence, people who talk about domestic violence in the club, watching films or watching programs on TV, on the media that accelerates or even validates domestic violence. When you have movies that basically show domestic violence, therefore it just makes you to see something very, very natural or something that is very, very common to do. Then the last one I'm going to talk about is what I'm just going to zero in quickly on. And of course, there's some other behavioral factors. These are psychological factors, like people who have anger, people who are very hostile, people who have antisocial behavior, people who have conduct problems or personality disorders. And then a lot of people are actually depressed now. Unfortunately, we have a system where people are not screened for depression and they're not screened for stress, which are often linked to socioeconomic problems. So I've basically listed a litany of risk factors that can predispose a couple to domestic violence. And hopefully, as we talk, we'll basically begin to take them one by one. So that's why I tried to lay a foundation, a theoretical construct of why this is on the increase in our society, particularly in Nigeria.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Let's quickly just take some comments before we jump over to Doctor. So Freddie says, wow, they're doing, Doctor, you've forgotten your role.
Doctor, don't forget your ministry.
Okay, I know it has been a while. Don't forget your ministry.
Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, now, where were we? Freddie Jonathan says, wow, they're doing that type of stuff in Nigeria now. That's crazy. I also said unmet expectations.
I guess that's when we're saying why, or like why the prevalence, why is it on the rise?
Okay, yeah, so he corrected the typo. LOL, if you find something in your phone that you are hiding or vice versa, that can cause domestic abuse.
Okay.
Really? Ijomai Okonkwo,
Welcome to
financial
the show, man.
issues, lack of communication, when love fades, verbal and physical abuse.
Okay.
Toxic feminism.
Okay. I'm liking this. I see Doctor already gathering points to talk on something. Okay.
And toxic masculinity. I was waiting for that. Okay.
Oh,
Onome
welcome to the show.
Omotosho says, excited to be here.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Glad to have you. Healthy Jessie Chops, my Queen J.
Welcome to the show, Jacinta.
She says, nothing like toxic feminism. Frederick, no woman becomes violent like when you see a woman act like that. Check what she's going through from her men, Mbok.
Okay, because of the rules of the game, I will not say anything. We will just keep reading until we're done.
Frederick says, if they don't agree that Nigerian jollof is better than Ghana jollof, can cause domestic. Oh, okay. Now we're wading in River Silly. Okay.
Exactly. Frederick is acting.
Healthy Jesse Chop says, LOL, Mr. Frederick, that's not true. What is not true?
Just leave Frederick alone. Leave him alone. Okay, Doctor, over to you before I jump in. What is domestic violence, domestic abuse, your definition, and why do you think it's on the rise?
Okay. The first question, yes, totally plausible. The second question, okay, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. So the first question, domestic abuse, domestic violence. This is violence that happens in an intimate partner setting. Otherwise, like in a family setting, and one person is being dominated or controlled or mishandled by the other. Okay. Now, your second question says, why is it on the increase? I would gently disagree. Excuse me. I do not believe it's on the increase. What I believe is happening is that we're hearing more of it because of social media, because of increased exposure, because of civilization, essentially. I believe we've always had domestic violence. But because of our culture of silence, that's why we assumed that it wasn't happening. But it is. Because human beings seldom change. Times change. The way we express ourselves, our language may even change over time. But human nature doesn't change. So we've always had that.
Okay.
Yes. We're just seeing and hearing about it more openly now.
Because of social media.
Yes.
Okay. I think that when you draw a graph, right? And domestic violence was up here. And over 50 years, it came down this way and came back up a little bit close to the top. To me, I don't see it as going down. I see it as still staying on the increase. Why?
I'm going to ask you what's the source of that data, right?
Of course, doctor. Of course, doctor.
Okay.
But I agree with you that social media is part of the reason why we're seeing more of domestic violence occurrences. I also want to say the same social media that is helping us see it. I think everybody mentioned some of the causes of domestic violence.
Hmm.
Social media is also one of them.
You think so?
Oh, definitely.
Why?
Okay.
Oh yes,
Why?
because for
Uh,
instance,
I mean, then they ask why you.
okay, go ahead.
But go ahead, Samson. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because there are some people now that will be watching this show, and if their spouse mention something on the social media and make a comment, they will think in their head that he is talking about them. As a result, domestic violence can happen.
Okay.
You think so?
Other than that,
Hmm.
other than other than that,
Yes.
um, social media has created a lot of unhealthy competitions by showing a lot of things that are not as though they were. A woman, normal traditional woman in the past, where there was no social media, would rarely find a lot of things to compare her husband with or to. Social media has made it very easy. Say, for instance, um, Dr. Tolu, your husband buys you a nice Range Rover Sport, and then my wife is vain and you know not really caring about our financial things, and it's like, can't you see Dr. Tolu's husband just bought her a Range Rover Sport? So my point exactly is, because of the emergence of social media, we are seeing a lot of reasons that things actually go wrong. Even mental health, even in mental health, social media is the cause of a lot of things. Professor said something that actually I and my instructor were talking about yesterday, and we were like, it's going to get to the point where jobs will begin to require their staff members to be having psychiatric evaluations every year. Even schools at some point will begin to require that. Why? Because the more social media platforms we have, the more things and issues we have. Because social media is good, but it exposes us to a lot, a whole lot. So that's my point. The exposure that social media creates, not that social media tells you, oh, go and fight. Again, on social media, okay, I'm planning on inviting this particular pastor to this show. The pastor that came, I don't know how many of you heard it. The pastor that came and said, "Oh, if you can be married to a woman and she's not your soulmate, the day you see your soulmate, your relationship will spoil. Your
Whoa.
marriage will spoil." Yes,
Oh dear.
and a lot of people went after him on social media, and I felt, yes, he said that, but he was a little bit misunderstood.
Oh, was he?
Oh, doctor, don't worry. I'll bring him on. I'll bring him on. Are we bringing him on? Okay. Yes. We're working on it. We're working on it. But social media, people, we have a lot of relationship experts, a lot of relationship advisors that their own relationship is on fire, and they are out there advising other people on their own relationships.
Okay, give me a second. Let me fix my lighting. I'll be right back.
Please. So let's take some comments before doctor comes in. And then someone will join in after the comments. So let's see, where were we? Okay. Healthy G's says, okay, Jesse Jones says, yes, I agree with Freddie. Coach Lillian says, sorry, some Nigerians don't understand the vision of marriage. Most of the marriages are just based on comfort cohabitation. Secondly, there is an increase of mental health from society pressure. Very true. Very, very true. Jacinta says, thanks, Queen Mother. Jacinta Okafor, Justina Okafor, welcome to the show. She says, happy to see chatroom back. Dr. Tolu, very happy to see you again. Okay, you're not happy to see me as I'm soft and professor. It's only Dr. Tolu. No problem. That's domestic violence. she she also says trust is important in a relationship. Yes, trust is very, very important in a relationship. Uh Jessica says exactly why. I wonder what you're referring to. Coach Lilian says, with no experience in that area. Yes, that's with regards to the relationship coaches that don't have experience in that area, yet they are there giving relationship advice. Tosan Karabo, welcome to the show. She says, nothing wrong with what the pastor said. Exactly. Yes, I agree. When we'll talk about that, that's not the topic for today. She's talking about the pastor that said what he said about what was that thing again I mentioned earlier on? But
I
yeah,
like the fact that the viewers are engaged in this topic, and they are really bringing
yes.
out their own suggestions and their take. I like that.
Yes. We're going to have the phone lines open up very soon so that you all can have the chance to call in and talk to us live and direct. But
Yes.
in the meantime, don't forget, like where you're watching this from, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification tab so you know just when we're coming on. And lastly, don't forget to share. Have you shared to the two people I told you to share to? Make sure you're sharing. Professor
Make
Sir,
sure
you
you
wanted to
also
say something. Go ahead. Sorry.
share it to the King of England.
Absolutely. Yes, one of the things I think we have to, marriage, when people come into marriage, there's an assumption that we make. The assumption is that these people are basically, the assumption that undergirds most marriages in Nigeria is an assumption of maturity.
Yeah.
These people are mature enough, they've been to college, or they are successful entrepreneurs, and they are mature, and they need to do the next thing in their social life, which is marriage.
Mm.
Unfortunately, one of the things you realize that is happening in our culture, in our country, is that a lot of people rarely would you find people who would tell you they actually were prepared for marriage. Preparation for marriage would mean that, okay, this person and I that we've been dating actually we went through a rigorous marriage preparatory school or program that exposed us to the good and the bad, and the good, the bad, and the ugly, the good, bad, and the ugly of marriage. So when you ask an average couple today, like I think one of our I think it was Coach Lillian or somebody who was talking about people not having the vision for marriage. When you ask most married couples today, what is the knowledge base of their marriage? What is the understanding of marriage? What knowledge base did their marriage take off? They cannot articulate it. They just found themselves probably in church or in school or in the workplace or in other social gathering, and of course the vibes were connected, and they got married. And so most people are getting to know who they are married to in the marriage. And so that's why I think, and also in our culture, you realize that we're not taught problem solving skills. We're not taught life skills. And so suddenly, when people are confronted with this person in their home who suddenly is asking questions, unfortunately, like I tell a lot of brothers, the current generation of women that we are marrying now are not the generation of our mothers or grandmothers. I tell our brothers, if you're going to marry somebody with from OND upward, be ready to be questioned. Be ready to be questioned. And men don't like to be questioned. If you're going to marry a woman who has a BSc, a master's, and a PhD or a doctorate, be ready to give a presentation for everything you want to do. Otherwise, the man is going to feel challenged. So those are some of the. So we lack what I would call, or I would say we lack. We're inadequate in marriage preparation knowledge. We're inadequate in life skills. We're inadequate in problem solving, skills. And all these inadequacies basically show up in marriage. And of course, like we've said, women can talk. Women are very gifted in talking and expressing themselves. And because men are not as gifted as women, somebody proposed sometimes and said that is why men are very quick to use their fists or use their hands to respond.
Can I say something there?
Yes.
Go ahead, Doc.
Which, of course, I do not endorse. I don't endorse that, but I'm just trying to tell you that that is why you have this prevalence. And in addition to that, I would say that it is the inadequacy in the problem-solving skills and in the life skills that makes a man to think the best way to respond to a woman who is talking and I cannot match that communication is to eat. So I'm not endorsing using your face, your hand, or your voice to respond, but I'm just trying to say that inadequacy in life skills and problem solving skills is predominantly the reason why men are likely to be perpetrators than women.
Okay. So here's my 2 cents on the matter. When you see, what's the first thing anybody tells a toddler who is throwing a tantrum and they don't say anything? And they're like, what do you say? Use your words.
Your voice.
Because you're trying to get them to communicate, to articulate what they're feeling at that point. I think it does a great disservice to the African man when we say the reason why they hate their wives is because they feel they cannot communicate or they cannot match her communication. See, let me tell you something that may be scandalous. Anthropologists, I believe it's them, anthropologists sometimes describe the African race as the baby of the human race because we have refused to develop. And in 2 ways that my brother just mentioned: communication, problem solving skills. And it's not just in relationships. The reason why it's so in your face in marriages or relationships is because societies are built on families. A civilization happens because a group of people have chosen to be civil together.
Yep.
We have never been held for any consistent amount of time to that standard. You have to be civil. So every time we say, oh, it's like when you say, why is that 10-year-old pooping on themselves? They just felt like it. See, that's what it sounds like when you say, oh, the reason that man hit his wife was because she said A, B, C, D, E. Are there not other races on this planet? And have they not moved forward? Are they not living in civil societies? You go to, say, the Caucasian races. Listen, you go to the Caucasians. Let me show you a glaring example. If, say, in most of us, all of us live in America, right? And 911 call, what's your emergency? This man is hitting me. When the policeman gets there, of all the questions he asks, this one does not occur. What did you say to him? Whereas, if you go back to my culture, all of us are Nigerians.
Wait till you tell him.
Exactly. The question usually is, what did you say to him? Whereas this same man exists in other spheres, at work, this place, that place, people offend him. It does not cross his radar screen to hit them. How is it then that it is this relatively less powerful person?
But some of them do because they have that habit, that habit of abuse.
Samson, this is not fair. Samson, this is not fair. You see me, I've been jumping up and down, waiting to jump in. And you're just jumping in.
Lev Samson.
Go ahead, Samson.
I said all of this to say that something my brother just said, that we assume maturity when people marry. Something else we assume with no foundation at all is compatibility.
Yeah.
That, I believe, particularly in religious settings, especially church folk in Nigeria. You all know I love you, but I'm a come for you today. We assume that because 2 people want to get married, and somebody, to not make matters worse, somebody will tell you they heard from God.
From the Lord.
This is the will of God. And so we assume that
I saw you as my husband.
We assume that they are compatible when nothing of the sort is the case.
Yeah.
This is 2022.
Yeah.
No one should be entering relationships without a basic knowledge of human nature. Yet we continue to do it. We continue to do it. Nobody should be considering any solid relationship, romantic or otherwise, without basic working knowledge.
Okay.
That's why in the beginning of this, when you ask the definition, that's why I said that in the beginning. Simple. Okay. If the 2 people have a problem from the beginning in terms of communication, and you will know it resonates. I'm talking to you, you are hungry. You are
But
talking to
two
me.
people will
Wait
always
now,
have
wait
problem
first.
at some point, though.
When I'm talking to you, you are hungry, and because people can be hungry, but it's the action that matters. When the person is talking to you, any little thing you flare up, or the other person talks to you, any little thing you flare, the communication breach is there. When you realize those red flags, there is no need for the two of you to go and shook your head because you said somebody prophesied to you.
I actually disagree with you on that, sir. And the
Ooh.
reason why I'm disagreeing with you on that is this: the issue on hand has a solution. If a solution cannot be met, or if a solution cannot be arrived at, then there is no need to be together. Let me tell
Correct.
you what I mean. Let me tell you what I mean. It's okay to argue to an extent. It's not okay to hate. It's not okay to destroy properties. There's something called personality disorders. And what makes you actually diagnosed for a mental, like what makes you actually diagnosed that makes it a problem, is when you're not able to control your nerves. Now, are you able to control yourself? Are you able to, or are you not able to? Now, a lot of people, I deliberately asked people during the week one question, and everybody was giving me an answer that I was like, huh. What is the cause of domestic violence in a marriage? Oh, the man hit the woman, the man beat the woman, the man need to stop being too masculine. Men has toxic masculinity. This, that.
How about the
And
woman with the man?
listen, over the years, if we realize what's happening today, over the years, if you don't fix a problem properly, what happens is the victim becomes the aggressor, and then the aggressor becomes the victim. Doctor, you want to rub your beer?
In fact, I need to rub a bit on your matter because I feel as if you are
No,
adding a lot of things into one point.
Exactly, he's mixing it up.
exactly.
But finish,
For
finish. I
for
don't want to
good
interrupt.
reason. For good reason. I would
Yeah,
I
continue.
would break it down. I would
Continue.
break it.
Continue.
Continue. Don't worry. I'll break it down. I'll break it down.
Okay.
Over the years, men were predominantly the abusers. It used to be masculine toxicity or toxic masculinity. But now, men are beginning to be abused by women. But because it's embarrassing for a man to come out and say, oh, my wife beat me, it goes unnoticed. It doesn't mean it's not happening. It does not mean it's not happening. Why is that happening today? Because we try to fix a problem of toxic masculinity, and that is twisting the scale. And now the scale is now still not balanced. Someone said something, and I think I agree with that person. A lot of male children today are becoming more feminine. A lot of male children are becoming more feminine. And that's because the level is beginning to change. Before doctors start robbing.
So, what is the meaning of what? Why did you feel they are feminine?
Say that again, Sam.
Why? What is the definition? Why do you feel like they are feminine? They are not being a man. So, what makes them a man? By throwing punches?
No, 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 no,
Okay, break it
no.
down more.
Sam Soft. Abuse goes on in various ways. There is verbal abuse, there is physical abuse, there is different levels of abuse.
Correct.
A man can verbally and physically be abused all at the same time.
Correct.
Even here in America, where we are, we've seen cases where a woman will beat a man up, and all the man is doing is try to defend himself, and the woman will still carry phone and call police, and police will carry the man and go and lock him up.
No, in America, you know that one is the woman is always the one that is abusing the men. So that one is a different case.
I wouldn't say that.
It's
Well,
not.
I mean,
It's not.
well, um, what Minister Max said in terms of probably contemporary boys or men or gentlemen are becoming more feminine, I think is because of what the literature calls absent fathers. So absent fatherhood is, and of course, when women basically take the role of fathers in helping the kid with homework, taking the kid to games, helping the kid with other social problems, it is inevitable for the child not to basically display. I mean, it's all about social learning theory. It's not. It's inevitable for the child not to take, after some of the,
That's very correct.
yeah. So when daddies are absent and mummies are, omnipresent, then you can't basically stop that behavior
Happening.
or the child tilting towards feminine roles or feminine behavior. So I think it's an indictment on men, that we are basically not doing what we should do, and therefore moms are overdoing what men should do. But that's be that as it may. One other thing I think we have to also quickly define is when we talk about abuse. Abuse can be physical. It can be include eating a person, kicking a person, slapping a person, throwing an object at a person. It can be psychological. It can be psychological, like belittling a person, humiliating a person, intimidating a person, threatening a person. It can be financial, which is basically withholding financial assistance from a person. It could be sexual abuse. It could also be isolating a partner from their family. So we've seen women or men. I've seen men who tell their wife they shouldn't call certain members of their family, or they shouldn't work with some of their friends, or they shouldn't go to certain religious organizations, and vice versa. So the reason I quickly put that in there is just to let us see the breadth and the length of what can constitute, abuse.
Thank you very much, Prof. Before Doctor takes over, I want to read comments. We have like 24 comments already. I hope people are not coming for me. Okay, people will know me. I'm not violent. I like peace. Let's. Okay. Wow. Okay. I hope they're ready. So let's begin from here.
Okay. Justina Alcafo says, happy to see chat room. Dr. Tolu, happy to see you again. Oh, I appreciate that. I'm happy to see you too.
Okay. Now let's go from. Oh, it's Pretty Annie's in the house, everybody. Pretty Annie says,
of course, this is a very important topic. Why, thank you.
Jacinta says,
Minister Mex, in those days, there was a lot of abuse, but no woman would talk about it because our parents would say you have to stay married and there was no social media problem.
So if you understood what I said about the tilt, no men will talk about it. Let's keep going.
Skyward Media says, thank you, Professor.
That's Coach Liliano.
Oh, okay. Prof, that was directed at you.
Yeah, thank you.
Frederick Jonathan says, as Christians, is it advisable to divorce if you have a marriage and family, if out of the blue your partner becomes domestically violent and it wasn't because anyone cheated? What would Jesus do?
Doctor, give him a quick answer right there.
Once somebody is laying violent hands outside of the fivefold ministry on another person, they need to separate before somebody kills somebody.
Yeah. And Freddie furthermore says,
You see?
R.I.P. to Osinachi Nwachukwu. Yes, R.I.P.
Yes. Pretty Annie says,
sorry, what's OND? Ordinary National Diploma. It's they're trying to, it's what people get when they go to the Institute of Technology, polytechnics in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Okay, the first one.
Uzovic says,
I think the COVID period contributed to the reason why we hear more about domestic violence. People were forced to stay indoors with their significant others, which we all know how that form of arrangement will play. What is it we all know, my brother?
Doctor, let me tell you something that Uzovic is saying. Yeah?
Please tell me.
Uzovic makes this is a very important point. COVID-19, during the lockdown, forced couples to stay together for longer periods than necessary.
I agree.
Than they were used to.
Yes, I agree.
So that now opened up a lot of weaknesses. The parts that the man could bear because he had to go to work, or the woman could bear because she had to go to work, had to be opened up right there. Like everybody was glaring. So buzz. Anyway.
So
Let's keep going.
so they were essentially living in a situation.
As a result of they were not compatible in the first place. That's now that they are staying in one room and they are seeing themselves every day. It explodes because they were not compatible in the first place.
I don't think it's about compatibility though.
It is.
What do you think it is?
It is.
No, it's not about compatibility. Two people can be compatible but not able to understand how to manage each other. Compatibility does not mean that you automatically understand each other.
I like this.
It takes time.
So
yes, two people could be compatible, but actually misinterpret what compatibility is, and that is what is happening these days. A lot of people, oh my God, you have exactly what I want. Like, I like watching movies. You like watching movies. I like going out for soccer. You like going out for soccer. We are both quiet.
Definition for compatibility.
It doesn't mean they are compatible.
But is that a definition for compatibility?
What is the definition of compatibility?
They understand each other. They speak the same language. They rhymes with each other's beliefs.
Sam's up.
Like before sometimes, if you know somebody you're compatible with, they have the same kind of reasoning. In times like they have the same likes. Like what she likes, you like. What she hates, you hate.
Really?
I have to start scratching two sides of my baby.
Prof, do you want to jump in, please? Help us with this compatibility definition.
So I think when we talk about compatibility, you see, everything we say is based on an assumption.
Yes.
Everything we do is based on an assumption. The assumption of compatibility is an assumption that that person is not going to change forever. So when we talk about compatibility, we have to be extremely careful on what basis, what is the assumption behind that definition. Because you can be compatible at the very beginning of your marriage, and as you grow in marriage and you grow in life experiences and socioeconomic challenges and even childbearing challenges, your compatibility may become totally dismantled.
I disagree.
Okay, let me give a good example.
I love this.
Now, you see, when you talk about compatibility, I'm not saying, I would say you should be agreeable. Agreeability is better than compatibility.
Yep.
Being agreeable simply means that, okay, we seem to have a framework in which we think, which goes back to what my sister was saying about a vision for marriage, which goes back to what another, I think it was Sky One Media, who talked about, being able to be tolerable. Tolerability, I would rather prefer tolerability to compatibility. Because when you say somebody is compatible, you are basically putting that person in a box that everything I do, everything this person does, we just are glued together. Because when you say something is compatible, it's almost like it is fused. It is fixed. So let me give you a good example. Suddenly, a woman, basically, because of her professional and career trajectory, begins to roll with and talk to very high people in society. It takes an element of humility and respect for that marriage for that woman not to look down on her husband. Or a man who also has the same experience and not suddenly looking down on his wife. Or a man who suddenly says, oh, my wife has had these 3 or 4 kids, and not recognizing the labor and the pain and the body changes that comes to a woman's, physique when she gets, and when she goes through all this stress, and suddenly says that this person is, I give a good example, Brother Sam's fault. It is possible for a man to say his wife is no longer sexually compatible with him. Why? Because by virtue of having kids and stress of marriage, she puts on some weight, and you now say, oh, she's no longer sexually compatible, therefore I have to go and look for a side chick.
In fact, let me give a more psychological example. A woman gave birth to a child. Before she gave birth to that child, she and the husband were very compatible because they understood each other, like what to what, going to bring. And then after giving birth to a child, postpartum depression came in. That now changed the mindset of the woman. Are they still compatible?
Okay, what brought that depression?
When you are no longer compatible based on what you are saying, you are not compatible.
Okay.
The pregnancy brought depression.
Can I come in?
Exactly, the man caused the depression. Exactly, it's the man.
No. They were not compatible in the first place. They were thinking they were compatible.
Let me tell you something, right? I hear what you're all saying, But compatibility does not assume uniformity. They are two
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When we say
Exactly.
they are compatible, what we are saying
That.
is that their core values agree with one another.
Yeah.
For
Exactly.
instance, if you are now, I was brought up in a family where nobody raised their voices. Nobody's, you could still lose your temper at someone, but you were not
Correct.
allowed to raise your voice at them because my father felt it was demeaning to yell at another human being.
Mhm.
Therefore, if I marry a man who yelling and screaming was their preferred modus operandi,
Ministry of accommodation.
you understand? We are automatically on that level. We are not compatible.
Exactly. I beg, make I get up.
Other even though we love each other to pieces. Oh Lord, Sam Soft, behave.
Listen, I'm sorry, but when relationships
Well, let her
proceed,
finish. Wait, let her finish.
Hold on. So compatibility affects different areas of their lives. But I
yes.
was very interested when you mentioned the sexual compatibility thing. What a lot of people do not assume, and I'm sure Minister Mex, you are very well aware of it now. Babies are incredibly needy people.
Oh yeah.
They are incredibly expensive people.
Super.
And they do not come with manuals.
Exactly.
Where I feel people have problems is that they are not prepared for the huge investment in time, in energy, in emotional energy.
Yeah.
When you have babies, everybody sees a new baby and we're all oohing and eyeing and cooing over the baby. And then you wonder a few weeks later, the mother is depressed. It may not be anything her husband is doing. Postpartum depression, people catch it the same way they catch a cold. You are just going about your business, and next thing you're sneezing. It doesn't mean that the husband did something. No, people who have the sweetest, most kindest husbands, their wives still have postpartum depression. So it's not
Yeah.
a blame thing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
said all that to say that going back to what Prof said earlier, people get into marriage with zero preparation. No one sits them down. When you ask, because I asked a few couples, a few newly married couples, what did they tell you when you went for marriage counseling? And most of it, the summary of it all was you, wife, be respectful, cooking food, give him good sex, keep the house clean, voila. And what did they say to you, brother? Oh, provide. Be listen to her. Be a good provider. But it was almost always, woman, be submissive to your husband. And they leave out all the other things that make and break marriage. So I do not want us to point to either party and say, oh, thus and such is the reason why this marriage is not working. Most of it, 99% of it, goes back to what Prof said. There is very little training of any materialist, expensive stuff that goes into marriage. While we're at it, there is also very little training that goes into parenting.
Yeah.
I mean, quickly, somebody had actually asked the question that how do we define compatibility? So I quickly checked online, and I think this Oxford Dictionary that says a state in which two things are able to exist or occur together without problems or conflicts, which almost is practically impossible in a relationship.
Exactly.
No, what you want to do, that's an English definition. What you want to do is to find a relationship-based definition of compatible. That's why I said that for two people to be compatible. See, two people can't be compatible in every area, but in the areas that matter.
The core areas.
Okay. To answer your question again, I checked the marital definition.
Boom. Let's hear it.
Where's Samsoft? Are you listening? Prof, please wait. Samsoft, are you listening?
I'm listening.
Okay.
So it says in the marital context, it says to be compatible in a relationship, you and your partner must have these 4 characteristics. 5. Number 1, you and your partner must be agreeable, adaptable to each other, cooperative in your goals,
Mm-hmm.
If I say it's adaptable to each other's lifestyles, cooperative in your life goals, and being attuned to one other's personality. And it says if you disagree with your partner's ideas, suggestions, or perspective, then it's a sign that both of you are not compatible. That is from
Okay,
marriage.com.
now,
Now we're talking.
Now, is that feasible? Is that possible?
okay.
100%.
All right,
And
can I say
someone will
something?
be
Can I just say
compatible
something with that?
100% all the
All right,
time.
now, Max, Mr. Max, can I say
No,
something
don't
with
max
that?
me. Do not
I want,
max me. Don't
I want to
max
ask,
me.
I want to ask you a question. Listen, is understanding part of compatibility?
I believe so. Yes.
Correct. Okay. Now let me break it down like an economic student.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh
If,
boy.
if understanding
That's
is
why the
part
economy of
of
Nigeria is crashing.
Minister Max, behave. Focus. Focus.
be attentive and be selective and be ready for the Holy Ghost.
Oh dear.
Now
Prof,
listen,
we can't see your video, sir. We can only see you on audio.
I'm on my
we cannot see
mobile.
your face, so,
Okay.
Prof.
Please, guys, we will take every comment, every single comment. We will take every comment. We'll open the phone lines so that you guys can call him.
So
After Samsoft finish giving us his economic thing that ruined Nigeria.
let me break it down like an economic student. If understanding happens to be part of compatibility,
Mm-hmm.
if your wife gains weight, like you rightly said in the beginning, that
Mm-hmm.
it will change your compatibility. For the fact that understanding is part of compatibility, you're wrong there. Because when your wife gains weight, you will understand that I brought that weight to her by giving her baby. When she has child, she becomes big. Understanding, you will be mindful of that. The man, because you understand what is the situation that makes her big. So all you will do as a man at that point of understanding, you will say, honey, we can do some exercise together because you are working together. That's where it comes. But if
Samsoft,
it's
part of
let me
part of
finish, let me
compatibility
finish,
means accepting
let
the
me,
person
you
for
not
who they
finish,
are.
you not finish, you not finish, you not finish. Now who gets strength, get power to fight you?
I
Listen.
get the power.
You're like
So
My own thing is this, right? My own thing is this. Anybody that tells me that, oh, you have to be 100% compatible with a person before you get married to them, I will tell you that's not true. There are some basic things that you should look out for, some
Mhm.
basic things you should hold tight. And other than that, forget about every other person that will tell you have to be compatible. Everybody just throws the word out there. Compatible. Are you people compatible? Are you people compatible? You can be compatible today and not and seem not to be compatible tomorrow until you resolve your differences.
but
Yeah.
let me ask
Wait,
let
but
me
remember, go back to what Samsoft said about
Dr. Samsov is at
living.
this side.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
no.
About living with understanding. You know, the Bible says that men
exactly.
live with your wives with understanding, meaning that now I want to take a little bit of that and say that you remember some of the definitions that Prof gave, that
Mhm.
you are adaptable, meaning as life changes, as life comes at you, you roll together, not
Yep.
you roll together against the problem, not against one another. Let me give you an
Mhm.
instance. My husband and I are two very different personalities. I'm like a summer whirlwind. When I blow hard. But he's a gentle summer breeze. He doesn't like conflict, doesn't like. But guess what? Because we live together in understanding, when we decided to go steady, there were some ground rules we made. There will be no raising of voices. There will be no calling of names. There will be no disrespecting one another, regardless of how warm the discussion gets. Do not mistake the fact that do not be fooled. We disagree. And we disagree because both of us have very strong opinions and we have very strong beliefs. But guess what? Because we choose to live in understanding, we can disagree without being disagreeable. I believe that right there, being agreeable with one another, is probably the one thing
Exactly.
people who have problems in relationships, that is the one thing they choose, whether by ignorance or deliberately, to ignore the fact that you don't have to be disagreeable.
True.
To disagree.
True. So to recap, you don't have to have the same personality type. The person doesn't have to be. In fact, for me, I would not want to have the same personality type because it's gonna be boring. Boring in the sense that what else are you going to look out for tomorrow? You are doing the same thing I'm doing. Okay, what's next? There's nothing to pull me out of my comfort zone, nothing to pull you out of your comfort zone. And that might even cause more abuse in the other this thing. So let's take some comments.
Okay.
So Liliani says,
men shut down when confronted. Men who don't know how to communicate. Yes.
Yep. Then they
Says, I'm here. We're glad you're here. Welcome.
Yeah.
Says, I'm here from Nigeria. Welcome.
Oh, nice. Welcome. Please subscribe and hit the notification tab. How DJs?
Says couples need to take a compatibility test before marriage. Ooh.
So we psych people are going to
and they said, just like you take a blood test to check your genotype. I agree with that.
Well, I'm very sorry. Even if couples take compatibility test, they are still going to fail tomorrow. If they
I disagree. Why you brave on their failure?
No, it's the fact, Samson.
Agreeability.
Samson, for the fact that you're compatible today does not mean you'll be compatible forever.
Unless you
what happens when there's that disconnect?
Yeah, unless you choose.
Oh, I wish my technician was here to play some sound that would appease me. Pretty honest.
Amen to that. Stop rushing into relationships, but then again, pressure and age.
Yeah.
This is a whole different pot altogether. We need to sit down and have this conversation. What is this thing about pressuring people? You're old enough to be married, go and marry, and then they go bring an animal home.
In fact, that will be next week's topic. For next week.
Just like to destroy furniture.
Yes, topic for next week. Pressure to get married. Must I get married?
Okay. They're looking for excuses.
Oh my goodness. Okay, these are probably chats you want to delete.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. Okay.
All right. There is nothing like compatibility tests. That's LDGs. Never say never.
I know.
Communicating and understanding. Agreed. Yes, Brian Maker, you're right. Couples have to be able to find common ground. There is. Oh, wow. Okay. Have you seen Married at First Sight? Several surveys are used to determine if a couple is comparable.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't believe in that, unfortunately. There is nothing like that. We're humans, we can control any. I think this is a response to something else.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what. This person says understanding is the key.
Yeah, that's mine. And Jacinta finally shows up, as she says.
Men are very difficult.
Why is Jacinta men issue?
Well, Minister X. No matter how you try to fix things with them, the masculine parts keep showing up.
There you go. Masculine again. All men are masculine. Masculine toxicity.
Oh, please.
I don't know where my daughter always finds all those wrestlers.
I'll tell you, all those wrestlers are masculine in masculator. Your daughter need to go with musician or with a drama artist. Not wrestlers. Come on. Anyway, let's get
I did not hear that. Understanding is the key. Okay, we've been here. Understanding with a healthy mindset. Treat a woman right and see the sweetest woman in her.
What happened to treat a man right and see the sweetest man in man? Let's keep going.
A man has different ways of abusing the woman.
Oh. A woman actually has more ways of abusing a man, though.
Not necessarily.
No, everybody.
Abusers are abusers.
Like we said, is is different ways.
Yeah, abusers are abusers.
Yeah.
So everybody abuses in different ways. Don't just
Yeah.
pick one side.
Skyro Media says, so that means they were deceiving themselves all the way. I think this was about when we were talking about COVID and
Yeah.
people stuck at home. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think they were deceiving themselves. I don't think that's what it will be. It
do you
will
think it
just
was?
be, you know how you're not used to something and all of a sudden you're forced to get used to it immediately. No time to readjust. It's a mental thing.
Back to Prof's comment about adaptability.
Yeah, exactly.
He says, yes, exactly. I'm hoping it is what we are talking about. It is about compatibility, understanding, and being able to tolerate each other.
Yep.
See, when I hear tolerate each other, I'm kind of antsy, but let's keep going. Yes, I agree with you, Pastor. My son can't trust anything because I have spoken a lot to him, so I agree with you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm kind of lost on that. It's pretty young. It says facts. There is nothing like compatibility. I think
She doesn't want to be compatible or what?
It's all about sharing the same core values.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the difference?
There should have been an insight from Gen Z. I agree.
Uh-huh.
Should have been millennials versus Gen Z. Maybe
We're
not.
going to open the phone line after the comment section. So Gen Z, you can call in.
Who is Gen Z?
This generation, my generation. My
Oh,
generation.
Minister Megs, you know you're not Gen Z, right?
Doctor, if I say I'm Gen Z at heart. What is
It
your
don't
problem?
matter. Because you are Cadillac. It doesn't mean you're Cadillac.
Is he your Gen Z?
This one is my Gen Z. But
Even
it's not just
Samsung over there. Samsung over here is Gen Z.
exactly. I'm Gen Z.
Wow, Gen Zs. Forget if I don't have her again.
It's okay. Professor dropping gems. Prof,
Oh.
that's for you. Dan Davis says, what makes you compatible for marriage? Fantastic question.
Let's give him an answer before we move on. Real quick. One
You
answer.
agree on you agree on your basic core values.
Perfect.
And you're adaptable in it.
Correct.
Okay. Rachel,
Rachel,
you guys
well,
in the house,
let me
everybody. Hi,
quickly
Rachel.
let me quickly add to that. In as much as I do not fully subscribe to the concept of compatibility, but I used to be a student of compatibility, and I will tell you about 6 levels of compatibility. Compatibility. Number 1 is spiritual compatibility, in which case, you guys have the same spiritual or religious beliefs. Number 2 is educational compatibility, in which case you guys have the same the same mindset, or the same intellectual or cognitive ability or similarity. Number 3 will be financial compatibility, in which case you guys know that, okay, financially, no, one person is not taking the entire burden. The other compatibility will be social compatibility, in which we can define that as somebody in which, both of you can go out together and interact socially without one person causing embarrassment for the other person. The other compatibility people talk about is sexual compatibility.
Yeah.
In which case, this spouse or this person's physical, emotional profile is very similar to yours. So those are probably 6 areas of compatibility I'd followed for years. But the reason why I'm basically having a rethink about that is because I've realized that we have what is called life cycles, and we have life events.
Yep.
And because of life cycles and life events, it can blow up that entire 6 framework or 6 pillars of compatibility, which is why I said you're better off. As a matter of fact, as we were talking, I was thinking of it that we're better off with partnerships. You're a partner. When you look at partnership, it's so much more easier to handle that compatibility. And finally, I will say one other thing that came to my mind. Do you realize that in the world of work and in social relationship, we talk about this concept of emotional intelligence and social intelligence.
Yep.
However, we don't apply that concept in marriage, which is why I think we have this abuse, increasing. I'll just leave it at that.
Fantasy. Let me jump on that emotional intelligence bit you talked about. This is where you put people who say, oh, the reason why you hate is because your wife said this. It's simply saying that you have no emotional intelligence. You have no way to process your emotions. The best way to do it
It's hit. Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's rush down with the comments. We've spent a lot of time. Would have just
Okay.
done 50, but
All right. Rachel Miller says, as a woman who has been abused, I advise run away and do not look back. Not ever. Especially with a narcissistic sociopath. Totally
okay.
agree.
Definitely.
Totally agree.
Definitely. Mhm.
That is what Professor is explaining. Fantastic.
We've
Okay.
answered this.
Yes, we've been here. Yes, exactly. Core values. And we've answered that.
We've answered that.
Very good. So, exactly. Core values equals compatible equals basic value. Somebody mute Sam Soft. What did he do?
It wasn't
Exactly.
me. Before you come and blame me. Don't say I did anything.
That is it, doctor. They are not ready in every area. Okay, I think that was earlier when we were talking about folks not being prepared.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, ma'am. Amen. Sorry to say, and forgive. Those advice are from people who are not marriage counselor. Oh, like maybe forgive and forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just so narrow. It's not even funny.
Mhm.
Healthy Jesse Chop says, thank you, ma'am. Raising voices. Flee for your life. Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
Doctor.
That's true.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You've heard of the saying when Americans say Africans are loud people,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm quite aware.
Okay. I think there's some kind of things that we need to explain or stress out a little bit before we continue. And this is one of them. Raising voices. Someone might just be, that tone of voice might be a little bit high when a situation presents itself, does not mean aggression or assault.
This is my rebuttal to that. Do they speak to their boss like that at work?
That's true.
Some people actually do.
That's why they don't have jobs for so long.
Some people do, and they have jobs. And let me tell you why, Doc. That is why, listen, Africans, just like the way I'm talking right now, some people will say, Minister Mex is raising his voice.
No, see, it's not just what you say.
There
It's
you go.
how
That is what I want you to stress out. Not just say raising voices run away. If you raising voices is running away, you run into the deep sea without anybody. I'm sorry.
So it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Because good morning is very different from good morning. You can speak calmly and still wither a person's soul because of the venom that is underneath it. By the same token, you can yell, you can if you're someone that has a loud voice, you can speak with a loud voice, but there's no venom underneath it. See, we're all spirits. People hear what you do not say. And the person that is feeling abused, they hear because when you speak with a loud voice, if it's someone who speaks loudly enough, but when you want to belittle someone, there's a little edge you add to that voice that makes that person feel stupid. That is why people feel abused. So it's not just the volume, it's the context.
But a lot of people listen to just the volume. I don't even subscribe to it's not just what you say or it's not just how you say it. I also believe that it should be that it depends on what is the environment, what is happening at that particular time.
Okay, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Remember I told you earlier that in my family, nobody raised their voices. In fact, the only time you heard my father raise his voice was he was probably laughing at some joke, right? He was a very funny person.
Now, see, with that example, I can also say it's not happening, but I can also say in my family, the way we communicate, everybody raised their voice.
Yeah. So now
does that mean that because in my family everybody raised their voice, then nobody should get married?
No. What it means is that if you marry a person who is from a different background, You will have to bend so that the person understands until you come see both of you when you start out, you're like this. What you want is like a moat until both of you come to a place of understanding
Perfect.
where your wife knows when you raise your voice, sometimes, you're just excited at the subject at hand. But guess what? She also knows when you raise your voice and you're angry. And she can tell the difference. What I'm
Perfect.
saying is not just about the volume. That's all I'm saying. It's not
Because
just
there's somebody that I know that whenever she's in a conversation with, whenever she's talking to a guy and the guy raises volume, she jackpass, she runs away because the guy raised volume.
yeah, that would be me. I would walk away. I absolutely cannot abide it. I would walk away. Yeah.
So if the
That
person, that is where we now talk about that's what we talk about variability. How, okay, are you guys willing to, can something be done? Can you guys understand each other? If you understand that, okay, this kind of person is from this kind of background. Let me give a perfect example. Say doctor now and me, we get to meet and then we start talking. And then I notice that you don't like me raising voices because you are not from a family that raise voices. This is how you are. That is where understanding comes in. If a person understands that this is how you are, is different from when the woman herself would raise her own voice, but we run when the man raises his own voice.
no. See, we don't do double standards. What's good for the
The
bird?
goose is good for Uganda.
Yes, it's good for Eastern Africa too. So there are no double standards here. That's why the Bible says, "Do unto others as you
Exactly.
want them to do unto you." So you've got to understand that there are no double standards.
Yeah,
If you're going
please.
to be a yeller, if you think yelling is a wonderful way of
Then
communication,
be partners in
well,
yelling.
then yes, go find somebody who is also a yeller and
Yeah.
you'll carry on.
If you cannot yell, go find somebody that cannot yell.
Oh, yeah,
So that you have group of yellers, group of non-yellers, group of
yes,
middle.
we are team non-yellers. Yes, I am a
Mhm.
happy
Yeah,
team
you see,
yeller.
team non-yellers. So thank you. Let's keep.
Rachel Miller says, "How do you know what or who I am?"
It takes time. You have to study the person.
What's the question?
Yes, can the person explain? Rachel, would you
Please,
explain?
Rachel, throw more light on that particular
Could
question.
you flesh that out for me, please?
Yeah,
The
because
question
that's a weird
was,
question.
how do you know what or who I am? So we need to know to what she's referring.
It's pretty, and he says,
But that's not possible. What's not possible? I think we're behind.
yeah, well,
So,
we okay, we're not too
okay.
behind. We're not too behind.
These facts. She says also, drop this compatibility stuff. No, not so fast, my sister. Brian Mecca says it's scary that we think alike.
No, she said, brother Emeka, it's scary. We think alike.
Yeah,
Yes,
y'all
sir.
think alike. That's what she's saying. That you guys think alike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have friends that I think
Yeah.
alike too. That's awesome.
Brother G is my coach.
You
She
can't
says,
be 100% compatible. Read books like The Hard Questions, 100 Essential Questions to Ask Before You Say I Do. Oh my goodness, I love this.
I've come back now. I've come back.
I don't know what happened. though.
Peace, my brother.
You cannot know what happened. You will not know what happened. It will happen again if you talk to
What happened?
technician. Good job. Good job.
You're,
So I'm sorry, just ignore him.
you're
I was like, where is I can't see anything.
Oh, Prof is in the Matrix. We can't hear
Yeah,
him.
he's saying something, but he's talking what he's saying.
Yeah, he's in the Matrix. Prof,
Heavy
we can't
meeting
hear you.
says,
Health says, I really want to stop raising my voice when I'm angry. How can I go about that, please? Wonderful question. I would see a therapist.
yeah.
I would see a therapist.
And make
Because-
sure that when the therapist is talking to you, the therapist does not get angry and raise his own voice.
But seriously though, I would see a therapist. Okay, something they can help you work through. Okay, next
Okay, let's
comment.
keep going.
Says daddy. Okay, something must have been
That
said.
was to Samsoft. She's Samsoft's guy.
Very good. Yes, sexual compatibility, very important. Oh dear. Okay. For a man to beat his wife, there's a high possibility that some sort of substance
So
is
when it gets to sexual compatibility,
No,
not necessarily. Not necessarily.
no, not necessarily.
Let me
No.
quickly insert something there. Abuse usually starts from emotional abuse. When
Yeah.
there's no pushback, it graduates to verbal abuse. And if there's still no pushback, it graduates to physical abuse. There doesn't have to be substance, there doesn't have to be illicit drugs. Okay.
Rachel Miller, you're still not shedding more light on this.
She said psychological.
Psychological. We don't get it. From
Yeah,
the
I'm still a
question
little in the dark.
please,
Could flesh that
because
out,
you
please.
asked the question and you said, "How do we know who you are?"
Yeah.
You say, "How do you know what or who I am?"
Yeah.
We don't get the question.
We would like to hear more. Okay.
Yeah, please.
Skyward says it's complicated. What's complicated? Pretty
Barely
Yanni
anything.
says great convo. Thank you.
Just
Thank
to
you, ma'am. It's how the voice sounds. Okay. All right.
So
Okay.
at this point, I know it's late, but we would open the phone line for the next 10 minutes while we talk and wrap up. So if you're interested in calling, the number is scrolling right below your screen down there. The WhatsApp number is right there. You can call us on WhatsApp and we would receive your call.
Do you want to set a timer, or you just help the people of God to be concise with their thoughts so that as many people
Yes.
as would like? I see Sam Soft with his phone.
Okay, so I've set the timer. So okay, Rachel Miller says,
Aha! How do you know by being psychologically, or my being psychologically, and my persona emotionally, I should have lay in my walk of life a relationship? Okay.
okay, I think Rachel needs to call in.
There.
Rachel needs to call in.
Exactly. You know what? Yes. Could you call in?
Yeah, please
We
call
really
in,
want to
Rachel.
understand your
So we
question.
can understand your question. Jesse Chop says, raising
Voices is different from talking loud. Or is it? Sounds very similar to me.
Listen, people, this is what I think, right? We're not in a perfect world. That's a fact. Not everybody is the same. That's another fact. Some people might never have raised their voice ever in life. Some people would have raised their voice. Some people actually might take raising of their voices as a coping strategy to get them to avoid something more violent. So it all depends on understanding. Understand whoever you're with, understand whoever you're married to, or whoever you want to date.
Some people raising up their voice don't mean that they're angry too.
Yeah, that's what Max was saying, that it may be just the way that they speak normally.
Yeah, exactly. So don't run away. Don't be running away from men that are raising their voices if you are not from a place where they don't raise voice. Because I know you. You raise your voice. And you are coming to say you are running.
There are lots of gentlemen who don't raise their voices.
There are lots of gentlemen that don't raise their voice. But they are scarce. You know, we are like 10 that don't raise our voice.
Samsoft, are you seeing your brother?
Samsoft is not part of us. We don't know him in our community.
I'm more likely to believe Samsoft doesn't raise his voice than I am to believe you.
You mean Samsoft? Ah, okay. Jessica says,
Minister, running away is allowed though when voices are raised. Yeah. Rachel says, I try to answer. Someone needs to help us decode this, because I really am not getting it.
What is that?
Did she say
Rachel Miller, she said, I try to answer.
Oh, okay. She tried to call.
No, she tried to answer the original question. When we asked her, she explained.
Yeah.
But I still don't. Or are you asking, how do you understand yourself? Is that what you mean? You know, if you could please answer that. Do you mean how do you get to understand yourself? Or how does a man get to understand you?
Yeah.
If that would you please put that in the comment.
Yes. So now, doctor, for people that end up in a situation where they are no longer in sync with their partners, and okay, what should they do, or how can they get out of it? Because I'm using this story that happened in Nigeria now as a particular instance
Which
where
one?
the lady burnt herself. May her
Oh,
soul rest in peace. She burnt herself because she wanted to off she and her husband because she felt cheated in the relationship. They both struggle together and everything, and the man um just has most of the things and she doesn't. What would be your advice for people in a relationship that is not moving forward and they find it difficult to run? I'm saying people now because even men too could
That
be
story, Steph, Max, when you were telling me that story, and it happened in Nigeria, I don't
yeah.
believe that story. Like,
I would have played videos. I would have played videos, but
it's
it's gonna be
too graphic.
too yeah.
how can somebody burn themselves?
No, okay, so this is what I think, right? Um, by the time,
Prof, sir, I think you should log off and come back again
yeah,
because
is
your
it
network
trying
is
to?
bad.
Yes,
Okay.
we seem to have
Yeah,
lost.
I see him out. Go
Now,
ahead.
in situations, now we need to define. Do you mean marriage? Do you mean long term committed relationships? Do you mean just dating relationships? Because their solutions may or may not be the same.
Correct.
Let's do 1 minute for each of them.
Okay, all right, fantastic. So in marriage, I am not of the opinion that marriage is a do or die affair. I am not of that opinion at all, particularly when abuse has entered.
It's
And this
involved.
is the thing, when a person has a personality disorder, you're talking maybe somebody who does gaslighting, a lot of that, or someone who's a narcissist or a sociopath, one of those personality disorders that just makes it impossible to live any kind of decent life with another human being.
That's dangerous.
My recommendation: walk away. Like, what is it they say? Walk, do not run. Run, whatever. Get away from that, because that
Yes.
person, if it is a diagnosed personality disorder, they need a different set of help altogether. They don't just need counseling, like, oh, let's talk to a marriage counselor, help us work out the kinks. No, you are dealing with a disease. There's a reason it's called a disorder.
Yeah.
So walk away. Leave that.
They need
Now,
medication.
so if you mean like a relationship, first of all, remember where I started from. This is 2022. No one should be in a relationship without a basic understanding of human personality. No one. So this is what I suggest. As long as it is a relationship, nobody has signed any dotted lines anywhere.
Hmm.
Please
Truly.
take all your load and your slippers, preferably flip flops, and walk away.
They don't have flip flops. They have
And use your leg.
cover shoe.
Wear your Louboutins and walk away. Because only the living, and I'm saying this particularly for church folk in Nigeria, only the living can repent and move forward. See, that Malachi 2 that y'all misquote and say God hates divorce, let me tell you, that place is not referring to an abusive marriage. That passage was written specifically to specific priests who were doing something very wrong. They were
Yes, yes.
abandoning the wives of their youth, and they were marrying not just other Israelite women, they were marrying foreign wives. That's why he said to them earlier in Malachi 2 that you have dealt treacherously with the wife of your youth. Therefore, I do not accept your offerings. People, please read your Bibles. That place does not talk about abuse. The other place, your quote, 1 Corinthians 7. The same thing. The Apostle Paul was writing to address a particular problem. A group had written in Corinth and was saying any sort of bodily pleasure is wrong, including sexual pleasure. Therefore, even people who were married were now choosing not to have sexual intercourse with their partners because somebody had brought this new revelation that any kind of bodily pleasure is wrong. And that's why Paul said, let them not separate. Let the woman not leave her husband. It did not mean anything about abuse. Please, we need to stop burying abuse victims in Nigeria and having it fueled by religion. It needs to end. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes. I'm so, sir.
So what's your question to me?
what would you say to someone who is in an abusive situation and cannot leave?
I'm just going to say the same thing what doctor just said, because if you're in an abusive relationship, the only solution is for the person that is alive to get out alive, whatever it is. Because if you are in an abusive relationship and you stay there hoping for something to happen, change, I don't think it's a good idea, because with from the stories and from what we see and what we hear, most of those victims end up losing their lives or being deformed.
Yeah.
And then the man or the woman still go ahead and marry somebody else.
Yeah.
You hear that? So you better go out when your legs are okay, your head, everybody, your body is still fine, even though your mind is already messed up, but your mind can still be fixed. As long as you're alive, your
Yeah.
mind can be fixed. You can go get help and but stay out of the relationship.
Yeah. And I also wanted to add that something Sam Soft said, particularly in our African setting, the problem is not that they can't leave. The problem is that in their minds, they have been convinced that in living is wrong.
Okay,
That
we
is
have
what we need to
sorry,
address.
we have a caller. Let's just take this call real quick.
Okay.
Hello, and thank you for calling. This is Chat Room with Max. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with?
Hello, this is Jacinta calling from Nigeria, Africa. Yes, it does.
Jacinta.
Yes.
You like that Africa? The way you just see,
Yeah.
calling from Nigeria,
Greetings,
Africa.
greetings from Africa. Greetings to you, my daddy.
We're sorry, our
Greetings to
phone
you,
number does not receive calls from Africa. Thanks for calling. Have a good day.
All right.
Minister Meg.
Greetings to
Please
you,
let my girl talk, please.
Minister Meg. It's good to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
I miss you all, but what I really want to talk about is this, Minister Meg. First
Can
of
you
all,
sense the aggression in our voice, first of all, people?
No.
I am
Minister
not
Meg.
aggressive, Minister Mex. You know that.
Go ahead, go
Now,
ahead.
He's just
back
fooling.
to
He's
back
just
to the
messing with
gist.
you.
Now
Ignore him.
back to the gist is this. I want to drop back to the compatibility that we were talking about. I think when it comes to the sex part too, that's very important. It's not just being compatibility in like cooking or maybe like minds, or that too matters. And then abuse. In those days, our parents were being abused, but they will stay there. Then, because when they go back home, I could remember her mom would tell her, "You are living in that marriage is because of your children. So stay there. Don't leave. Say it's your children that are holding you there." Now, my mom was there because my dad was this kind of person who would be shouting, wow, 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 wow. That's why I don't like shouting. When you shout, I just enter the ground. I don't like it.
So you're traumatized.
So all of
Please
that
don't
was
enter ground though.
in my mind. So when someone shouts, I'm looking for way just to excuse that environment immediately. Look at this bimbo that just because of marriage and then staying there, and because of I don't want to go, I want to go, but at the end of the day,
There's actually a
I
comment.
thought,
There's actually a comment that gave us Lillian just Coach Lillian just gave us a comment that would actually I brought this comment up so that with whatever you say about this particular case, you're guided by this comment. Doctor, you want to read it?
Oh, yes. It is alleged that IVD and partner were in a blood covenant. Hashtag alleged. Hence the reason why she couldn't leave. The brother said the family tried getting her out, but she kept going back. Hashtag allegedly.
Yeah. Okay. So go ahead, Jacinta. Sorry, I had to bring that up.
okay, so now look at what happened to Bimbo. She was trying to leave, but she can't just leave because and somehow there's something they talk about soulmate. I don't know whether it exists or whether it's real. So I don't really know whether they were soulmates, what was binding them together, even when she was being abused.
The
but she
comment
was
the
still
comment
there
I
because
just brought up, the comment I just brought up said what it was. They
Okay,
had
I
a
haven't
blood
I haven't
covenant, they
read
had
the
a pact. I actually had that same thing too.
Now, does that thing work? Does that thing work? I think now I never had any blood covenant when I was in my own relationship. It was stupidity that was keeping me, because I felt that if I move out, I cannot do well without that man. So I don't think there is anything like a blood covenant or whatever. There is nothing like that. It's when we are being stupid and being foolish that we don't want to leave that place. And another thing is that these men, they have the way of sweet tonguing us to keep us one place. They will beat us today. Overnight, they will be nice to us. Before you know, one pregnancy will have entered, and then you will keep on living there. And then the next thing, the baby is out, and then another one. And it happens to some of us that were early in this things. And then so that's why when they talk about violence in relationship, then people open their mouth to talk because they were not there. They were not there because these men have sweet tongue. Okay, look at, after dealing with this lady, he will go out, look at the mess, he will come back begging, the money you gave me, I'll finish with it. There is nothing outside. There is nothing outside, but you keep on going outside, coming back to beat her and then go outside. So I think what keeps us one place in this kind of thing, we need people to help us, to bring us out of it a lot, because sometimes going out is a problem, living is a problem, taking a workout is a problem. And it went until women will understand that. And sometimes the most painful part of it, when you go to the church, the pastor will give you fasting and prayer to go and pray so that God should change the man's mind. And then you will pray and do fasting. You will not eat. You will fast 3 days, 7 days dry. After you finish, the man will beat you on it, and you do whatever he wants to do. Then you'll be wondering. So I think the word that the Bible said, lack of knowledge makes my people perish, is what is killing a lot of young girls in so-called relationship, that they've entangled themselves there because they cannot go out. Maybe they don't want to go out because they feel that, okay, like her, she says she has so much in the relationship and she wouldn't want to leave. Who cares how much you have sown in that relationship that has taken away your life?
Sorry, we have another call coming in. Thank you very much, Jacinta. Can you just summarize so we can? Okay, great. So we have another call coming in. Hold on. Hello, thank you for calling. Welcome to Chat Room with Max. Who is speaking with?
Hello. Hello, this is Lillian.
Hey, Jiggy.
Just need to say hello.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, Coach Lillian.
Oh, Coach Lillian, Jiggy.
Jiggy, yo.
See you.
All right. So let me quickly give my contribution, because thank you. Hi, Doctor. Hi, Samsam. Miss you guys. Okay, let me quickly give my comments so that other people can also give theirs.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
Okay, so I'm going to reference a little bit to what that lady was saying, the previous caller, the lady who just talked now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think most women in our society, we don't know our value. I'm sorry to use that word. Because if you know who you are as a woman, you value yourself, and you are in a relationship, you don't need to fight. It's just like what the Western world, what the people do here. You just settle amicably and say, let's go our separate ways, agree on how you're going to take care of the kids. But from most of the things that I have seen, most of our women are so scared to start all over on their own. They are so scared to want to spend their money for themselves.
Exactly.
So that man running those bills is a problem now, that he won't be there anymore paying the school fees for the kids. There's a very prominent woman, I don't want to use her name here as an example. I reverence her. I'm sure you guys know her. You know, she had that marriage and I don't know what happened, but she left with 2 kids. Today, she's one of the multi-millionaires in Nigeria. She's doing so well. At her age, you even think she's 20. So our women should please brace up, value yourself. And also, if you will see what a professor said before he left, I think it was doctor or professor that said it. Some of them don't even know why they're getting into marriage. They just finish youth service. They've not even served. They don't even have money. They don't have accounts of their own. They just make this boy who is staying in one room or one bedroom self and home. Boom. Family and friends come and sponsor our marriage. Oh yeah, they're not married. So they don't really take time to understand, what am I getting into? Can we tolerate each other? What is the money? If in the Western country, you see people dating, they go to university, they graduate, they buy a house together, they plan. Our people don't even plan. So now when you don't plan, you rush into that marriage, The man goes in, comes a walk, goes out. He's going to keep side chicks because he does not really appreciate the process. There's no marriage that is perfect. There's going to be ups and downs. But the man that truly knows what marriage is, you're not going to raise your hand and start beating your wife. No, you will quarrel, but you come back together, two of you will settle it, and you keep moving on. That's what keeps a lot of marriages. It's not that they don't have disagreements in it, but it is high time for our women to begin to recognize their value, know their value, know their worth. Stop rushing into marriage. Oh, my age is running fast. What is your age is running fast? You can have a baby. You don't. I'm not supporting anything that is bad, but please, I want people to understand where I'm coming from. But when you are in a marriage, the man beats you once, he's going to beat you all over again. So you have to step aside and say, let's go for counseling. When you go for counseling, and please, I think we said this thing once in the show a long time ago. I'm not saying that pastors cannot counsel, but they are not marriage counselors. They are not licensed.
Yeah, they're not professionals.
So the thing is, go for people who are professionals. I'm not saying if you want to get married, go for counseling if you want to. If you are not sure of yourself, go to marriage counselors.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's a counseling that comes from the spiritual perspective, but there's a counseling that comes from professional perspective that you people will understand and live well together. You understand? Because it's just too much of the abuse, of the divorce in our community right now. And they keep saying, oh, it's because of technology. Oh, it's because of this. It's not because of technology. That's why the increase is there. Yeah, it might be some pressure and comparison from women that they see on social media and they get carried away. But the thing is, number one, our boys and girls, I'm going to call them boys and girls, most of them that are getting married, they are not ready.
Yep.
They don't know why they are getting into the marriage. And that's why they are not able to stay. And our women, please discover who you are, know who you are, value yourself. If you're in a marriage, a man beats you once or twice or three times, he's still saying, I love you, he's going to kill you. And that's what has happened to this, our other beloved sister.
Yeah.
So it's too much going on. I know mental health is on the increase because of pressure or financial pressure and all that. But, that is not enough. And lastly, very quickly, the professor mentioned this. There is no more mentorship.
Yeah.
No family mentor, no parental mentorship. Women are running to work 24/7. Their husband is at work 24/7. Nobody is nurturing the child. What do you want the child to learn? And how do you want this child to grow up and even know what he or she is doing? So that is another thing that is lacking in our community right now.
Wow.
People are working too much and not taking care of their homes.
Sure.
Thank you so much for taking my
thank
call.
you
It's good to see all of
very,
you.
very much.
Dr.
Thank you.
Coach Lillian, that was awesome.
Definitely. Thank you. Before we jump into this, the comment, so we line up everything everybody is saying, so we don't miss people's points.
No, I wanted to answer Rachel's question. She clarified. If you could go back, maybe as we read through them, when I get to them. Okay, yeah. So she clarified this comment. So if you go from here.
Go ahead, Doc.
That's what I mean. As in, I've read this comment, and I start to clarify.
Okay, she clarified. Okay.
Yeah. Next one. Yeah, we've been here. Good. That's it. She said both. Right? Now, here's what I suggest to you. From a Christian perspective, I keep saying you have to know your personality. There's a book I recommend for women, Spirit Controlled Woman by Beverly LaHaye. It explains human personality from a Christian perspective. Shows you your strengths, your weaknesses, places you need to work on, places you need to celebrate in yourself. I think as women, we don't hear that enough, that you need to celebrate your own strength.
Yeah.
Celebrate what you're good at.
Okay.
So I just wanted to throw that in there. I didn't want us to forget.
Thank you. So Healthy Gist Anonymous says.
Yeah, we've been here.
We've been here. Okay. Sam Winifred, welcome to the show. What's up?
Hello, house.
Welcome to the
Most
show.
people remain in abusive marriages due to total dependence on their spouse for their livelihood. Very common in some parts of Nigeria where the man never allows the wife to work.
Exactly.
Totally agree.
Yes.
Also,
I read that. We read that already. Uzovic says.
Okay. Uzovic says, my suggestion, just like Kevin O'Leary always says in Shark Tank, take the mistaken idea of the business, in this case, marriage in this regard, to the back room and shoot it. After that, drink on it and move on with your life.
Oh, very
Can't
true. Very
disagree.
true.
Can't
Very
disagree.
true.
Thank you so much, Ma, for that word of exhortation as to why God hates divorce. It's mind blowing. Oh, thank you, brother. I'm glad. Self empowerment, women empowerment. Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Some Nigerian women cannot do without relationship, or because there's SARS in the country. SAPS?
That's poverty. That's the
Poverty.
Okay.
structural adjustment program.
Aha.
Oh,
Then
that's
let
what
me
it is.
say
Okay.
yes. Okay. I'm not sure what he's agreeing to. Yes, not all pastors are marriage counselors.
All right. So let me jump in before both of you jump in. People have been jumping in before me. This is what I want to say, right? It's so sad. Doctor, you say?
So
It's okay.
What are you going to do about it?
After now, you will tell me I'm ladder than Samsung too.
sorry. Samson, leave him alone, please.
Okay.
You see, it's so sad to see that for things in life, people are prepared for them, like serious things in life, like you being able to be set up as a person who would have a nice job. You go to school for that. You that would have a particular career, you go to school. You're going through anything in life, you train for those. But for marriage, there is no training for marriage right from the grassroots. Instead, and we all know that there is one particular thing that most people plan. We go to school, we become doctors, and then we get married and we settle down with children. So those two last ones are the ones that we really have preparations for. And that creates a lot of problem. That's why the problem keeps coming in. Now, most things that I've actually observed in abusive relationship for people that find it difficult to leave is the fact that they have invested so much on that one particular individual. It might be male, it might be female. I'm sorry, I do not subscribe to picking one particular gender and stressing. No, it might be male, it might be female. You've invested so much in that particular person, and now to leave, they had you. It's like a man who has invested in school for his wife, and the woman graduated, became a doctor, became this and became that, and the woman is abusing the man, and then the man is saying, I will take it, I'm a man, don't worry, I'll take it, I'm a man, where I won't go before, because see, if you go, you have lost your investment. It's high time we realize that we begin to invest in each other in a marriage, investing in one another. Don't go to the extreme of this extreme or that extreme, because when things begin to fail, it now even creates more issues. That's when you hear, after all I've sacrificed for you, after all I've done for you, to never be well for you. All those things come because of all we have done for the other person. But if it has been done to both, after all I've done for you, not what was done. So instead of focusing on one particular extreme, let's try to spread it out. Let's try to spread it out. And then it will not be so difficult, because, hey, for me, I take pride in making sure that everybody is stable. Everybody has what it takes to move on in life, not because of a divorce, but because, God forbid, what if I go or I'm dead? What happens?
Yeah.
How will the family cope? So forget about thinking of, okay, we have to make sure everybody is settled because of divorce. No, think about it. What if somebody loses their life? The partner that is working and working and working, that has all the degrees, lose their life. What happens? Then it becomes a problem. Family cannot move on that much anymore. It becomes a struggle. So please, let's try to understand. I understand that, yes, it is not. See, everybody saying leave, stand up and leave, stand up and leave. The truth is, it is not easy. Until you are in that shoe, before you know that it is not easy. It is not easy to just up and leave, because you're thinking about so many variables, so many things. In the first place, hey, maybe you still love this person. It's possible that the person will be abusing you and you're still in love with the person. It's very possible.
Stockholm syndrome.
Doctor, that's not Stockholm syndrome.
Yes, it is. Developing feelings for your oppressor.
No, doc. You had feelings already before the person became your oppressor.
Okay.
At least
I'm not
doctor
a
agree
fight
with me in
now.
this one.
Don't worry, Sam soft. Let's leave him alone.
Before I would just call Jacinta to call again and fire you, boo.
Ah.
Although it's me, she was
Like
trying.
there was a point that Minister Mex pointed out that I needed to add something to. It's the aspect of when it says there is no preparation for marriage in terms of like the marriage seminars and all that stuff. I the only part it comes from is one department, one organization in Africa, which is the church.
True.
And if it's coming from only one side, and they know that it's tough for them to just tell you, oh, you leave because of the way what they believe. So their teaching is on one particular aspect, but they forget to address the abuse aspect. They forget to address all those parts. They were like, God, don't worry, God is going to take care of it. Let's
I
pray
don't
about
think
it.
they forgot. I think they omit it intentionally.
Yeah, because they don't. I don't know why they always do that. They always do that. So that's why that part is lacking. And the people, because they've been taught by uh,
The
the
minister,
pastors,
yeah.
which they look up to, even when their mind is telling them to get out, they cannot,
Yeah.
because pastor says if you get out, it's a sin.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. The
So
stigma.
that's the
Yeah.
problem.
Thank you, Samsoft. So before Doctor goes, I want us to take this last comment before we begin to wrap up.
As Sam Winifred says, rushing into marriage and later blaming witches when things go wayward. We must resist pressure from family and friends in order to prevent ourselves from wrong partners. Agree?
That's why this topic is coming up next week. Stay tuned, people. This will be the next topic for next week. It's gonna be because we've seen a trend already. That trend is so it's definitely gonna come up. We have another comment from Dan David. He says,
Some pastors, they brainwash members. Agree?
"The
Totally.
pastors will brainwash members." So very true, very true. So, Doctor,
Now,
please go
what
ahead.
it was I wanted to highlight, particularly from church folk. I've told you guys why Malachi 2 and 1 Corinthians 7 have nothing to do with abuse. I also understand and I recognize that there's still stigma in our society against people who choose life, and we have to stop it. Here's what I suggest: you be the voice of change in your sphere of influence. If you hear someone being dogged and demonized because they fled abuse, you be the light and tell them, I would rather they be alive. Even if we all think they've done something wrong, at least they're alive to make their way right with God. See, what makes tradition is because all of us choose to perpetuate a particular idea. And that is how it becomes tradition. We
Correct.
can begin to establish new traditions in our culture. We can be the ones who choose life for abuse victims and survivors. We can be the ones who are supportive of them. A few days ago, I was on Clubhouse and there was a room specifically for men who had survived abuse in relationships. I can't tell you how proud I was. And I told them, I said, I am super proud of you that you have come out and brought this evil out into the light. And nobody tried to make it into, but women are also abused. No, the topic of that room, the focus was to focus on men who had escaped abuse. So we can do that. We can be that person. So I do not want us to leave this show just having talked about it and not having any actionable points.
Thank you,
You
Doc.
be the light. This entire month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So make posts about it. Encourage people who are in abusive relationships to leave and offer them a supportive ear. Even if you can't give them money, be supportive of them. Tell them, I'm sticking with you. I am with you. You're still my friend. You're still a believer. I love you. I know God still loves you. We will get through this together.
I
That's
want to
it.
say something lastly before we leave, but I know I'm bringing this up last because I know a lot of people might want to jump on my case after I say it.
Oh dear.
Where's Sam Soft? So this is what I have to say, right? if you got married to a person and the person was not an abuser, and when I say abuser, I don't mean like hitting and punching you, but was not an abuser, and all of a sudden the person something snapped and the person changed, and the person is willing to accept help, and the person goes for professional help, and his psychiatrist put him on a medication.
You're breaking up. No, not yet. You're still
Can
breaking
you
up.
guys hear? Okay, hold on. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, where did you lose me? Or where did you lose me?
And a psychiatrist places them on meds.
Okay. And the psychiatrist placed them on meds, diagnosing them, giving them a diagnosis. I would not just say up and run. Don't up and run. Walk with the person through his treatment. As long as the person is going through that therapy and taking the medications that they're supposed to take and is not abusing you again. Don't just stand up and run because the person got a diagnosis, because the person was doing something. Now, if the person doesn't want to get help and still continues to be assaultive or aggressive towards you, then please leave. Else, please help the person because
I
you will
actually
run
know,
away. Another person will come and inherit your wala. Go ahead, bro.
I actually know a couple who the wife has severe mental health issues, and I mean severe mental health issues, and they're still happily married. Her husband loves her to bits and pieces, and they have children. So these things are possible, but she's not abusive towards him. She's not. Okay. So as to Minister Max's question, as long as a person is willing to seek
Comment.
help and comment rather, as long as they are willing to seek help and they are working on it. Notice I said willing to seek help and working, actively working on it. There might be light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we also need to understand because mental health, trust me, we overlook mental health a lot. And
Yes.
trust it's crazy. It's crazy. A woman that will be all nice, soft and smooth and sweet and cute and nice, one thing snaps and the person is different. The person is no longer the person you knew. It doesn't mean that the person just changed all of a sudden. There is a problem somewhere. Part of being married is walking through problems together, helping each other out, walk through our problems as long as there is willingness to do it. So,
Oh, before you finish,
yes,
Prof
ma'am.
sent a message that he sent his apologies. He's first of all he got disconnected, and then he had an urgent situation he needed to address. So he sent his
No,
apologies.
it's okay. It's okay. So, Samson, what do you have to say? Wrapping up 1 minute.
I want everyone that watched this show and everyone that's listening that's going to watch it. I want you to be uh, join the force as a victim rescuer of domestic violence. So when you see, just like you go to the, you hear them saying on at the airport, what you see something suspicious, say something.
Mhm.
So if you see an abusive, uh, somebody going through abuse, say something to help. Don't just look away because most of the time we look away.
Say something to who?
You got to say something to help
To who? To who?
to anybody you know that can be able to communicate to that person that we need, that will be able to render a help.
He's saying just don't ignore them and look the other
Yeah,
way.
don't just look away because most of the time we look away. You know that, right? Because some people's like, it's not my business. You know, if I say something now, but where you say it's not my business, that's the reason why most of the time this thing keeps. For instance, like the sister that died in Abuja, the pastor must have heard.
Let's not assume. Let's not assume. Let's not assume.
Mm,
Nobody,
If we're not sure, let's not assume.
yeah, I'm not assuming. I'm just saying that.
Pandora's
Let me
box.
tell you,
Uh-uh.
there is evidence of abuse. Like if somebody's abused all the time, you see them. You see marks. You see the way they behave. You see fear in them. You as the pastor call them and do an interview, address them. How you doing? What's going on? You'll find out.
There's an epidemic of baby scratching going on.
That's what I'm saying. If you see something, you gotta say something, man.
Okay. I hear you, Samson. Doctor, go.
I know why you are scratching your beard because I know why you are scratching your beard.
Mr. Mex, you've been found out.
I
So
know.
I just want to say that for everyone who are in an abusive relationship, know that we hear you. You're not alone, but only you can get you out of that situation. There are resources coming up every day in Nigeria. I know at least for Lagos State, there's a domestic abuse response agency, and they're actually functional. I know because I've sent people.
Okay, there you go. So that's where you can go say something.
Yeah, they actually
So,
function. So
so if I go by Samson, I've been scratching my baby. I didn't want to talk because I wanted us to end the show. But it's as if Samson wants us to go again for another 30 minutes.
no, don't you start going off on some other rabbit trail. But seriously though, the idea is you can have a
Now, doctor,
particularly if you're a woman,
save you.
You
particularly
don't
if
want
you're
to
a
say
woman,
something.
you can live life. There is life after separation. There is life after divorce. And no, God will not abandon you. I've given you a book recommendation, Spirit Controlled Women, and for men, Spirit Controlled Men, because you've got to know you. How will you know what's good for you if you don't know you?
Yeah.
Be strong. Be strong.
Don't be
My
afraid
own is
to
this.
say something.
My own is this.
Don't let next threaten you. If you see something, say something.
My own is this. This is my own, right? If you see something, and you go and say something, and the couples come and deny because you went to say something to the police, and they go and deny your but yeah, if you say something, you say something. But this is my own understanding, because at the end of the day, you will be the one to live with that person. Now, if you're listening to everything we've said today, you will hear all the red flags we've given you. Should that make you scared? No. We are not telling you how to live your life, but we're just trying to tell you what we think. And we've done justice to that. Now, what I want to say lastly is this. If you are in an abusive relationship, this is one major thing that actually makes people lose their life. Some people. Retaliation. They want to retaliate. Instead of retaliating, just up and leave. Because you never know. As a man, a woman is abusing you, you want to retaliate. Just that one slap alone. Fiki the woman. As a woman, a man is abusing you, you want to retaliate. You can carry something and choke the man. Men have died of poison. Men have died of knife stabbing. All because of retaliation. And please, I cannot stress this enough. Invest in each other. Invest in each other. Not because of anything going wrong in relationships, but just for the future. You never can tell. Just for the future. So I don't subscribe to the issue of men. A man is the head of the house to provide 100%. It's a teamwork. It's a team effort. Because when you're doing well, I am doing well, we are all doing well. And please, doctor, I don't know, but what I've noticed is the Gen Z. In fact, I think we're going to have a lot of. We'll producer, make sure we get Gen Zs on here next week too, so that meet all of us and we can talk. Gen Zs no longer want to get married anymore because of what's happening. And the most annoying thing is people will come. spend millions on a marriage, and then you will spend plenty money and you carry gift, big gift that you use your last savings to go and buy and give them, and next tomorrow they have divorce. What a waste of gift.
You know, just so that people are not confused, Gen Zs are those who are born in the late 1990s.
People like me.
Early 2010s. Okay.
People like me and Sam Soft.
Yeah.
Gen Z. Gen Z.
You wish.
Gen Z.
Stop,
yes, sir. Yes, I see you, fellow Gen Z. Yeah.
You wish. Okay. You wish.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of comments that we're supposed to take, but we'll take them next week. Thank you very much. And hey, by the way, you can still share this video from the link that you have, so people will watch it after the live, and tell people to please join in next week, because next week is going to be very interesting. We're going to have Gen Z people in here too. It's going to be a mix of us, Gen Z, with our fellow Gen Z people, and then we'll have Dr. Lillian, and then you know the Gen A. Yeah, the Gen A. All the Gen A's.
We old and we fine as wine.
Oh,
so we're yes.
If Lillian was here, Lillian would have said something.
You don't agree.
I know Lillian don't agree.
we fine as wine. We don't have a problem with it.
I know, Doc. I know. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been fun. Doctor, thank you. Sam Soft, thank you. Prof, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Always, whenever you're on, we are so blessed. And we will definitely see you next week. People, same time next week. Don't miss it. We will be back with a very, very interesting topic about the Gen Zs that we're going to. It's going to be Gen Z versus Gen A. Yep. You know, me and some people, where are young people clocked?
Exactly. You trust that.
Have a great day. God bless you all. It's been fun.
Hi, so glad.
It's your boy, Matt. I want to introduce a show to you. It's called Chat.
You will see. I say I will fire this. I will fire this guy. I will fire. Okay, sorry. Don't go and tell them I'm abusing you.
It's your boy, Matt. I want to introduce a show to you. It's called Chat Room with Max.
Ladies and gentlemen,
The primary sign, usually on an adult in a domestic violence situation, are bruises.
God gave him a talent. And the Bible says your gift will make a way for
When we sit there and we blame God for the